up, magical people? I'm Mia Magic. Welcome back to your most magical life. Today we are talking about the last full moon of 2021. It's like, can you believe it? But also like, thank the goddess, you know what I'm saying? So you might be able to hear my amazing maids tromping around upstairs. They are cleaning the house. Goddess bless them. Very important factor in my life is having someone else clean for me. So sorry, but they're here and you might be able to hear them. Now, the beauty of this full moon is that we are coming to completion with the sign of the storyteller. Of course, I will be doing a full moon ritual, the last full moon ritual of 2021. Can you believe it? On Sunday, the 19th, which is the day that the moon is full. So would love to have you. I'll make sure to put the link below in the description. It's going to be super magical and I'm so excited. So this year, technically we're going off the Gregorian calendar. So we say that like December 31st is the last day of the year. That's totally just not real. The calendar was created and made up and it doesn't actually have anything to do with like the natural cycles, though it is loosely based around when the actual astrological or cosmic year ends. So that would be on the solstice. Technically, the solstice would be the morning of the light returning, is like the new year is dawning. But you know, we like to do things that are totally out of harmony with nature, right? I mean, I don't like to, but our modern society certainly does. So I'm gonna have a different video about the solstice and what you can do to celebrate the solstice, but this is particularly related to the Gemini full moon, which is technically on the 19th. The solstice is on the 20th, 21st, depending on where you are in the world. The thing that I think is so magnificent about this is that we're ending the year, the actual astrological cosmic year. This full moon comes the day before the solstice. So we are completing the year in the sign of the storyteller, the sign of the communicator. And that's not just about like a bard or an author or a singer or someone who tells a story. It's also about the stories that we tell ourselves. And it's not just about how we communicate between one another and how we relate to each other through conversation. It's also about how we communicate to the divine and let the divine communicate through us. How much are we listening? How attentive are we being to the guidance from the cosmos or the God, goddess, divine, whatever your word is for it, the universe, source, spirit, creation. I mean, the list goes on. But that is the conversation. That is the communication that we are concerned with as this year comes to a close. So Gemini is that very childlike, very curious, very wondrous being. And I talk about this all the time, but the mythology of Gemini in its sort of Roman Greek origin was that there were two brothers and they were probably sisters, but you know what I mean? Everything's been changed to be like, oh, Athena grew out of Zeus's brain. She like cracked herself out of his head with a hammer. It's like, please, everybody comes out of a pussy. Let's be real here. But you know, this is the story that has been passed down to us now, is that Zeus impregnated an already pregnant woman, and she gave birth to twins, one of whom was mortal and one of whom was immortal. So there were these two brothers. They met these amazing women that they wanted to marry. They went and asked their father for their hand in marriage. The guy said yes. They came back, and all of a sudden there were these other set of brothers came and said, oh no, we want to marry these women and we're going to fight you for it. And classic. And they had this battle. They did this little warring over these women, and the mortal twin died. And because he was no longer tethered to the physical plane, the immortal twin went to live on Mount Olympus, the house of the gods, with his more immortal divine family, because he didn't have that earthly tether to this reality in this dimension. And the mortal brother, of course, went to the underworld. Now, back then, the underworld was not hell. That was not a concept that existed. We had the ruler of the underworld was Hades in this particular tradition. Every major indigenous tradition and ancient civilization had a ruler of the underworld or someone who carried and stewarded those who had passed on. But the mortal twin went to the underworld, and that immortal twin missed him so much and loved him so much that he, because he was immortal, because he was divine, was able to travel back and forth between Mount Olympus, the house of the gods, and the underworld. So that's where we get that two-faced thing about Geminis. It's actually not about being two-faced at all, if I do say so myself. It's about being able to traverse from the highest heights of divine, magical energy, love, light, beauty, profundity, and depth and higher consciousness, and go into the shadow and the darkness and the hurt and the pain or the underworld. So that is, from my perspective, a really great trait of Gemini. It's powerful, it's profound, it's transformative, and it's not that common, really. There's not a lot of people who can even accept their deep darkness and see themselves as light or know that they're worthy of shining. So that's a great gift of Gemini that people are totally misinformed about, from my perspective. And so that's a big piece. The ritual that I'm going to be leading is going to have a lot of flavors and textures of that energy. And what I would suggest for all of you, if you're going to be at home and you don't feel like joining my ritual, you're lost. But no, just kidding. No pressure at all. I always want everyone to do exactly what is right for them, right for your craft, right for your wisdom, right? That's what being a witch is all about. So if you're going to be at home, what I think would be really impactful is to just look at all the places where sort of your inner underworld has shown itself this year. How have you been maybe a little darker or a little more in pain, or maybe victimized by that pain more than you would have liked to? Or maybe you just didn't feel super appreciative. That's been a huge lesson for me in my life this year. I have so much more than I've ever had. I have my amazing partner. I live in this incredible home. I'm making tons of money doing literally the things that are easiest for me and that I just do innately and like love making videos. I mean, I don't make money off of YouTube like significantly, you know, it's like $40 a month. Thank you all for being here, for blessing me with that $40. But you know, that's not my form of income. But what I do is get to teach and share and help people transform and heal and work with amazing one-on-one clients that are just female entrepreneurs and, well, all kinds of genders, honestly, of entrepreneurs, but people who want to claim their magic and their power. It's like those things are so easy for me. I'm so blessed. And yet I have had a lot of moments where I've forgotten to appreciate, like in the depths of my soul, like the kind of gratitude that just, oh my God, thank you. Yeah. Oh my goodness, thank you. Yes. That is how I should be feeling all the time. And, you know, there are a lot of moments where we just forget. And the first time that I did toad medicine, which if any of you know about 5-MeO-DMT, it's literally a straight shot to God. You just meet, become God, everything dissolves. There's no self, there's no you, there's no planet Earth, there's literally nothing except God, always and always, all the time. And I remember the second ceremony that I sat in, I asked the wizard, I said, how could I forget this? How could I forget? I've already done this medicine before. How could I forget that this is what's true? This is what's real. This is where we come from. This is our consciousness. This is our truth. And was just weeping, sobbing, you know, in the bliss and beauty. And he just looked at me and stroked my face and he said, darling, we are designed to forget. And that really stuck with me. So one of the things that I really want you to look at is, what have you forgotten? What do you know in your soul, whether that's your purpose or your birthright of pleasure, your power, the true nature of prosperity in your life? What have you forgotten that maybe you've let get lost down in the underworld, or that you just haven't been able to see this year as clearly as you would have liked to? Because like I was saying, Gemini is the storyteller. It's about the stories we're telling ourselves. If I'm telling myself a story that like it's still not good enough, which is definitely a pattern for me. I did a really deep inner child healing this year where she was just feeling like it's still not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. I need more. I need more. I need more. And I had to really come into an understanding with her that it's not that this isn't enough. It's not that you need more. It's that there's so much more to achieve. There's so much more that's possible. There's so much more you can do to save and help and heal the planet and our species. And those are the things that I can still feel myself yearning for. It's like when you accomplish a goal, you don't want to just plateau. You're not like, okay, cool, I'm done now. I've accomplished this goal. I'm never going to try and achieve anything else ever again. No, you're like, okay, what's my next goal? What's the next thing that I want to achieve or accomplish or create in my life? And so that's been the space where I am, which is why I'm writing a book, which is very exciting. I'm working with this amazing team, and they're not like writing it for me, like an agent and the publishing people, but I'm super excited about that. And, that's a next piece for me that has to happen, that has to come through and come forth. But I have to do the work to make that happen. I have to do the work inside of myself to believe that what I'm writing is worthwhile, that people care about it. And so we look at these stories. Stories are not just in books. The stories are running in our minds all the time, every single day. And so because this Gemini full moon is coming to completion, I always talk about that full moons are for completion, completing cycles. So you also have this opportunity to look back on that halfway point in the year, the Gemini new moon, which was on the 10th, actually. I remember because it was 2 days after my birthday. And so 6 months from June 10th is basically about right now, not every month. Do we have side boob action? Are we losing the top here? Okay, stay in there, ladies. Don't get too excited. I know it's the last full moon, but we got to keep it PG for YouTube. So from that Gemini new moon, what seeds did you plant? What intentions did you set to rewrite your stories or to become more fully expressed, right? Gemini is the communicator of all the signs. Aquarius, all the air signs rule communication. Aquarius is very much the higher mind, and Libra is very much like the diplomacy and the, sort of like the tact with which one communicates in a way to be in harmonious relation with others. Gemini is not about that. Gemini is the messenger of the gods. How do we receive the information from the divine? That's like that very no filter kind of energy. This is what God says through me. If we're in alignment, we can definitely be out of alignment and feel this need to be seen and be communicating from that place. But Gemini in its highest iteration or highest illustration is I am channeling, or I am the channel, I am the vessel from the divine, from the gods, from Mount Olympus, and bringing it here forth into this plane, that middle ground between the underworld and the realm of the gods. Now, that does also mean that Gemini can bring the messages from the underworld as well. That's not the archetype of Mercury, Thoth, Hermes that we really think about and talk about, but I certainly know for myself, I've had 5 of my friends call me this week. It's so lucky when they're my friend because they just get it all for free, but call me and need me to give them a little domination, a little cosmic bitch slap, a little spanking, bitch, you better get the fuck out of your own way. You need to start charging more. You need to buy a new car. You need to do this and this and this. And they're all shit, this is exactly why I called you. Yeah, because hello, you need to check yourself. One of my friends has spent $20,000 on these 2 old shitty cars this year. I'm honey, you need to just go get yourself a new car and make nice payments. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But what are the stories? Using that example, he's got stories. He's got stories that say he doesn't deserve something new. Or that it is wasteful. It's not sustainable, of course. But right now, used cars are more in demand than new ones are. And there's a vibration. Our body, right? It's the vessel of our soul, and our car is the vessel of our body. The same as our body is the home of our soul, and our home houses our body. So your vehicle is this thing that carries you. It's your chariot. So if you want to feel like a king or queen, you better feel good in your chariot, right? Remember when kings and queens used to be carried on those dioceses? It's that is not what I need. I'm gonna drive myself, most of the time, but I want to feel good when I show up anywhere in my chariot. I want to make sure, even if it's totally ridiculous and absurd, and it's, you don't want to do it if it's for someone else. I live in Los Angeles. I mean, nothing's been open for forever, but back in the day when you used to valet and I'd roll up in my Range Rover, I like feel really good about myself. I like feel worthy of being around all the other people. But that is a story that I get to reprogram. And that's why I got rid of my Range Rover, which I now have back because my friend Saw, who took it, moved to Bali, and he was like, hey girl, I don't need the car anymore. It's yours again. I'm like, okay, sweet. But I got myself a truck because that is what made me feel actually in alignment. So this is neither here nor there, but it's about the stories you're telling yourself. The stories of, do I or do I not deserve something? How do I feel in my clothes, in my body, in my car, in my home? All of that is story because it's all part of your story. It's all part of the thing that you get to then see and witness and look at. Is this a mirror? Gemini, also the twins, right? It is that mirror. Obviously, my left hand doesn't look quite the same as my right, but you get the point. The mirror of the reflection. How is my world, how is my reality, how is my Mount Olympus or my underworld being reflected back to me in my day-to-day life? This is so important, you guys. It really is. I know I've like gone on some tangents, but being able to utilize the reflection of your external life, not getting attached to it, not making the external life the see all, be all, end all, and like, this is it. Like my external reality, the numbers in my bank account, my job, my car, like that's me, that's who I am. No, that's not it. But if I am who I am, how does that create the reflection in my external reality? What do I, in my essence, in my power, in my connection to the God, Goddess, Divine, what do I look like in a physical representation? What are the energies or the emotions what are the feelings of my essence, of my power, of my true nature? And how can I then reflect that into the world around me? So those are all stories. Because if you don't feel worthy of getting dressed up, or if you have stories about men not being able to be trusted or deep sexual trauma, and that's made you put on weight. Like I used to be really heavy and I put on weight as a shield, as a blockade. And that's a pattern in my family. My dad is like that. My dad has literally just weight on his tummy, just right here, like this big fat belly, and doesn't even drink beer. It's like, how did you get that thing? He got it spiritually from his consciousness, because he has a story that if he is in his fitness and looking really good, that he's going to be an unfaithful partner, that he can't be trusted, that he's like so desirable that he won't be able to resist the temptation of women. Kind of weird sharing a little tidbit about my dad, you guys, but that's how he is. Like he literally hit on Lyle's mom at Thanksgiving. It was just like the most embarrassing thing ever. Had to be like, you're not welcome here unless you can heal this shit. You need to like go do a mushroom ceremony or ayahuasca or something, because like I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'm in my 30s. I can't with you. So those stories, the stories that create the reflections in our bodies, in our homes, in our relationships, that is what we want to have awareness of and then come to completion with in this full moon. Now you got to figure out what that is going to look like for you, because everyone's stories are going to be different. So what we're going to be doing in my ritual is talking to the part of us that's living in the underworld, communicating with that dark side and seeing what is it really allowing to run. What story is it perpetuating in our lives that we are then displeased or unhappy or disappointed with the external reflection of? How are we seeing it showing up in our lives? And it's going to be a really beautiful ritual. I am super excited. So just remember that there's no accident that this is happening the day before the solstice. There's no accident, because what I'm going to do is we're going to have my ritual. My partner and I, we're both Geminis. We're going to do a little ritual, and then we're going to rise with the sun on the solstice. Now, you get to decide what you want to do with that sunrise, with that morning, with that moment. But there is a massive opportunity to make that day, that solstice day, one of the most beautiful, powerful days. What would the you that lives on Mount Olympus, or that has the perfect reflection, not perfect, but like work in progress, the kind that you feel satisfied with and met by and properly represented by, like, yeah, this is me right here, like this, like, yeah, I'm cool with this. This feels good. What would that day, that person, or that those stories exist in consist of? What would that day look like if you didn't have those stories that you are ready to leave behind? If you weren't limited by the distraction or the disappointment, or if you gave yourself permission to get the thing or be the thing or wear the thing that properly reflects who you are, so that if you look at it in the mirror, or you look at it in the driveway, or you look at it around you while you're doing your work or living your life during the day, you see yourself and say, fuck yeah. And you feel that, like, feel that gratitude, that appreciation, because y'all, the reason why we call what investments do when they grow appreciation is because appreciation is one of the strongest, most powerful, abundant frequencies in the universe. That energy, like even just pretending, but it's not pretending because it's real, but like just tapping into that for a second and just like giving myself permission to fully feel the appreciation of my whole life. It's like, oh my God, I'm like high. You get high from it. You get high on your own supply. You don't need any drugs. You don't need anything. You just need gratitude for your life. It's a miracle. It really is. So that is what this Gemini full moon is about. What is the thing for you? The story that has been keeping you from that appreciation, or from feeling worthy of creating and cultivating or receiving or basking in whatever it is that you desire in your life, becoming who you desire to be for your life. Because there is no greater gift, there's no greater service to this planet that any human being can offer than being free from the chains and the shackles of the bullshit stories that society has perpetuated on us that are not our truth. Because if you feel happy and fulfilled, you're really hard to sell things to. You don't like need stuff. I tell you guys, I buy all my clothes used. Even this Caravana dress from Tulum, I did not buy it brand new. I got it for half price. Can I afford the new ones? Yes. Have I been down to the store and bought things new there? Yes, I have. But this I got sustainably, because in the last 2 years, I have fully devoted myself to buying everything sustainably. I did buy myself a new pair of like silk bamboo sheets for my bed, but like, I'm not gonna buy used sheets. That's just kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta pick your battles, but you can create a life that is in alignment with what you desire, what you believe, what you value. You can still feel abundant in something that cost $2 from a thrift store. One of my favorite pieces in my house, one of my most gorgeous pieces that everyone's always like, oh my God, this bookshelf's so beautiful. I'm like, guess how much it costs? And they're like, I don't know, $1,000. I'm like, ha, I got it at Goodwill for $1 because it has a big hole cut out of it in the back because somebody like put a TV on it. Guess what? I just put books in front of it. $1. I mean, come on, it's so worth it. And it gives me so much joy. I'm like, yes, this is great. So you can create your life, the reflection of your desires, however you want. It gets to be your own. But this moment, this Gemini full moon, is an opportunity to come to completion with any of the beliefs that you don't deserve that. With any of the things that you've been communicating to the divine, right? Because you can communicate scarcity to the divine. You really can. It's easy. It's a story that you don't deserve it. Or like when you're at the grocery store and you see like the chirimoya or the jackfruit or like some really expensive exotic thing that came from somewhere else and you're like, oh man, it's $15. Like I can't buy that for myself. That's scarcity. You deserve that. If you're gonna enjoy, if you're gonna get $15 worth of enjoyment and pleasure out of that chirimoya or out of that jackfruit, then you absolutely should buy it. And the universe will actually reward you and recycle more abundance into your life for you having said, I deserve this. And you taking that moment to really allow yourself to enjoy it. So I am sending you all so many blessings. Again, if you would like to join me for my full moon ritual, the last full moon ritual of 2021, we will be doing it on December 19th, Sunday at 5 p.m. PST. If you are in Europe or another time zone, don't worry, you will absolutely get the ritual as a replay, and you can do it the next day for the solstice. It'll be super powerful and such a beautiful thing to do that day as well, because the light will be returning. So that is the most important thing for us all to remember right now, y'all, is that the light is returning. The new day is dawning, and it's up to us. We get to also collectively rewrite a new story. We get to decide how we want to write the next year. And I know that it can feel like we don't get to decide because there are powers that are greater than us that are deciding for us, but they're not greater than us because we get to decide how we respond. We get to decide where we live or what we want to do with our lives. And so we actually still have so much power. And I think society wants us to think that we don't, but we do. And it's in how we write our own stories and how we communicate to the divine. And if more of us are consciously communicating with the divine and conversing with the cosmic consciousness of the universe, then I truly believe that the tides will turn and things will shift and change. So I'm here for that journey with you all, and I'm so honored to be supporting you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Again, I'll put the details for the ritual down below. I am Mia Magic, and welcome to your most magical life.